thanks for tuning in. I apologize for the darkness, but I'm outside and it's nighttime, so it's dark out. Why do I come outside to make my little videos? I like to come to a quiet, isolated place, a private place, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Gosh, it sure is loud out here tonight. This is really the first very warm weather day of this year, at least here where I live. The temperatures were finally up into like the 80s. So it seems like people are just out with their cars, out on their motorcycles. Everyone's out. Winter's over. The cold is gone. The warmth is coming back. So yeah, it is loud out here. Louder than normal anyways. So anyways. What did I start the stream for again? I feel like I have a lot going on. I feel like this month, March 2025, this was the end of a duration of 3.5 years that started in September 2021, where I had like a near-death experience, but also like spiritually like a born-again experience, like almost like a baptismal experience. And so it's been 3.5 years since then. And I just feel like that is quite significant. There's a lot of things changing just in this month in particular, like right now in particular. And I guess I want to talk about that. Also, I just finished watching this really sweet movie, really cool movie. It was called Flow. Just an animated movie, like a kid's movie, really. But also, like, not really, but probably. But it's just an animated movie about some animals, and they work together, and there's like a flood. There's a flood, and they all survive by like refuge in a boat together, and all these different animals. It's a cat, a capybara, a lemur, a dog, and some kind of big bird. I don't really know. Maybe like a stork? I thought it was like a stork, but I don't know a lot about birds. I kind of feel like it wasn't exactly a stork, but maybe it was. Yeah, I just really liked that movie. I kind of felt like, man, it would be nice if I actually could sit down at like a computer, probably like more like a desktop computer, but maybe even like a laptop or something, and actually like make a video and include footage and like review the movie and like share my thoughts on the movie, because it's a very like, it's hard to actually, I feel like it's kind of hard to talk about that movie without having like on-screen examples, because there's literally no dialogue in the whole movie. It's just the animals making like animal noises, and the cat is meowing and the dog is barking, but the whole movie has all these like symbolic, I felt like anyways, like things I would have fun thinking about and sort of dissecting and attaching meaning to and speculating on what do I think that means, and it would just be fun to talk about. And the thing that really strikes me was kind of like basically like the capstone scene, the ultimate scene where one of the animals is basically like, I don't even know, like levitated into heaven, like just straight up like beamed up into some like magical place. And I was thinking about that. But now I'm kind of feeling like, well, I don't want to like kind of like spoil the movie, so I don't want to just sit here and talk about it. I feel like if I was gonna like share my thoughts on the movie or have a discussion about the movie or just speculate about this movie, this film, this cinema, I don't know. I guess I just feel like I kind of don't want to now. So anyways, there's something else I was thinking too. Okay, remember just before I got into this tangent about the movie, I had been talking about like, the 3.5 years is up. Where did I even get that number from, right? Like that's something from the book of Revelation saying that for 3.5 years, I don't even know, like what, like the false prophet is going to try to deceive the children of God with like false miracles or something, and it's all kind of like a test and like, but whatever. Like after this 3.5 years, like I guess it's almost like the idea of like Christ will come again to separate the wheat from the chaff, and that separation is like a 3.5 year period, and then at the end of it, some people go with Christ and the other people go somewhere else. And either way, I just kind of feel like, well, the 3.5 years, like for me, is basically up. Like I made it to graduation. So I guess like right now, literally right in this moment while I'm talking, I'm kind of thinking of it more as like parts of myself that were wheat have remained with me even to this day, right now, 3.5 years later. But the parts of myself that were chaff have been, I would say, matured beyond, or have grown to greater whatever. Not to say that they've just been discarded, like, but more that like they've just evolved further. So I think of it more as like, well, there's this 3.5 year period, and it was just a period of transformation and reformation and education, and the parts that were good are still good, and the parts that were incorrect were corrected. But you could also say like, well, those parts are no longer with me, but kind of like they are, but have been transformed and innovated and iterated. Wow, look at my glasses, the way the light just that's kind of cool. These are new glasses, by the way. I really had gotten it into my mind and into my heart and spirit that I wanted to get these spherical lenses. Well, I guess not spherical, but these circular lenses, and I'm really happy with that. Big and wide-eyed, doe-eyed, big saucer eyes. So anyways, I just feel like, what do I really feel like? I basically feel like prior to my near-death experience, born-again experience that happened 3.5 years ago, I was just doing as I pleased. And at the time, I was a transgender woman. If you had asked me, that's what I would have said anyways. And I was like heavy using drugs all the time. And I feel like after that event, that transformative event, and so like during the following 3.5 years since then, I basically went through phases of like, for instance, thinking like, well, this is all wrong. I'm not a transgender woman, so I should stop doing that. Or being addicted to drugs is like not good, so I should stop doing that. Like, just basically, if I had to summarize, I would say that before my born again experience, I was mastering the dark side of the Force. After I was born again, I was educated into and developed some mastery over and gained experience with the light side of the Force. Maybe it's more like the unclean side and the clean side, or the chaotic side and the orderly side, or the dark side and the light side. However you want to look at it. You know, the selfish side versus the compassionate side, something like that. But now I feel like I'm coming to the end of this 3.5-year period, and something that I've noticed is that, is it right to use the word combined them? I feel like I've combined them. So, what do I mean is like just my old previous behaviors. All of a sudden, I'm once again thinking that, well, you know, alternative gender identities or non-heterosexual sexualities are not bad. That's not dark or bad or unclean. And being overly like, I used to just be very orderly and clean and maybe a little bit more disciplined, like during my 3.5 years of the light side. And I feel like it's all going away, like it's all sort of slipping through my fingers. But in a sort of way, in a sort of integrational way, right? So you could also think of it as like, do I live in a feminist and like black nationalist society, or do I live in a patriarchal white nationalist society? But I feel like it was basically like first one, then rejecting that, then the other one, maybe kind of rejecting that, and then now it's sort of like, well, both at the same time, integrating that. Now I truly live in a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multiracial, democratic society. Symbolically, though, I mean, like in my spiritual experience. So what do I really mean? Can I give more concrete examples? Okay. Before I was born again, 3.5 years ago. So let's pick a number, right? Let's say 5 years ago, 4 years ago. It was like messy. I was just messy. I would never cook food. I would just like eat takeout, or literally, I remember something I used to do a lot. I would either just buy pre-made sandwiches from the gas station, the mini mart, and just eat them. I wouldn't cook anything. Or I would literally buy canned food, and I wouldn't even put it in a bowl. I wouldn't even warm it up in the microwave or on the stove. I would just put a spoon directly into the can and just eat it out of the can. So I didn't cook food. I didn't clean my apartment. It was super messy and disorganized and chaotic, and there was literally garbage everywhere, but also just chaotic. And so these are just sort of indicative of a certain spirit, I guess, right? I could give more examples, but let's leave it there. Then I would say after I was born again, I basically did a 180. I started to cook all my meals. I really hated the microwave. I literally never used the microwave. In some spiritual sense, I feel like the microwave is almost like an evil device that defiles my food. It corrupts the food spiritually. So I just don't use it ever. Just all the stuff that I used to eat, I don't eat. I don't eat any frozen food, really, at all. I don't eat frozen food. I don't eat, that pre-cooked, fried, frozen food that you just put in the microwave, that you put in the air fryer. I don't really. I cook all my meals. I'm not a great cook. That's not like I cook from scratch, but I actually, like basically cook my meals. Everything, all of my my living space, and even like my daily hygiene routine is now super orderly, super clean, very routine, very ritualistic, right? Every night I take my breathing thing. Every day I brush my teeth. Every day I have my my methods for like making sure I always have clean laundry and stuff like that. But it's really just the opposite of before. My whole area is extremely, in a certain sense, I almost want to say kind of Spartan, really. The old me just had, there was just stuff everywhere. There was just like stuff in boxes that I never took out of the boxes. I just had boxes of stuff everywhere. And now it's like there's almost nothing at all. Like every superfluous, ostentatious item that was extra was, I don't know, just categorically placed into its proper place. And, that's what I was doing that's what I was doing for the last 3.5 years anyways. But this is what I'm getting at, right? I feel like that time is up. My time is up. Like the 3.5 years is over. And so what I noticed also what I noticed is recently that kind of like super clean, that's super clean and orderly and everything is like slipping away from me. I used to be really particular about always running the dishwasher and having clean dishes and always taking out the trash and always like emptying out. I don't do any of that anymore. I just figure, you can't be overly, you can't be perfectionistly. It's not good to be anxiously and perfectionist and whatever. Just let it go. A lot of decorative pieces that were in my house, things that were sort of spiritually enlightening. I mean, they weren't lights. They weren't electric lights that made the room brighter, but they were colorful pieces of artwork that were imbued with an energy signature of brightness, and they were hung up all over the walls. And I took them all down. And I even covered up my windows with aluminum foil to block out all the sunlight so it's much darker. So now it's like all of my routines that I had been learning about the last 3.5 years, and not all of them, but these ones anyways, and some of them are like receding away from me, right? The tide had come in, and now it's like the tide is going back out. And not only that, but I also feel like recently I used to write a lot. During this last 3.5 years, what I'm trying to say, I used to write a lot in my journals. I used to read the scripture a lot. I even used to go to, for a long period there, I used to go to church a lot. But there was stuff I would do during the day. I guess maybe still not really that much, but I used to go out and find stuff to do. And it seems like now all I do is use my phone. It's kind of driving me nuts, to be honest. All I do all day long, my screen time must be crazy. Like, how many hours a day am I even awake? Like 16, right? Let me think. I sleep 10, 20 of 10, 14, 16. So I don't know. I'm only awake for like 14 or 16 hours a day. I think I'm on my phone like 14 or 16 hours a day. It literally doesn't like... And if I'm not on my phone, I watch TV. Literally my whole life is on my phone. And it's just social media, or social media, like on rotation. Literally, it's either Reddit, Facebook, YouTube, or 4chan. Or I'll put down my phone briefly, just so I can, whatever, and I'll watch TV. But I can't focus on it for more than 15 minutes at a time. So it's like I go back and forth. 15 minutes watching TV. Oh, I gotta take a pause break. 15 minutes on my phone. Okay, let's go back to we gotta get through this movie. 15 minutes on TV, 15 minutes on my phone. And in between all that, I'm just eating and eating and eating. I just eat all day. And I literally feel like there's even pornography has come back into my life too. And it's either just social media. It's basically just all these different variant forms of like adrenaline addiction or some kind of dopamine addiction. But I don't know, like, that's one way to describe it anyways. And I feel like I just have this hunger and it's not being satisfied, and I'm just going from this food to that food to that food, like whether it's my phone or the movies or the pornography or actual food or sleep or whatever. It's like my whole life is just food. Like, didn't someone make an album about this? Food. And in a weird way, I'm not even worried, but in another way I am. I wouldn't say worried, more just like disappointed. I feel like something I learned like during these last 3.5 years was like, I literally, maybe there's something here. Yeah, when I was working with the light side, one of the things that I felt like I had been taught and learned was that I can't do anything on my own. Even wanting to do something on my own is like basically harmful, right? The only things I can do are the things that like the Eternal Father, like through Christ, gives me the grace to do. I can only do things like basically if it's given to me as a gift. And no matter how much I struggle to overcome these temptations or indulgences or whatever, just behaviors, addictions, I literally will never be able to, unless Christ gives me the grace to do it as like a free gift. And that there's also literally no way to earn that, because it's just an act of His mercy. And so I kind of feel like my whole faith basically came down to, okay, just wait patiently. Like, there is literally nothing else I can do. Even the whole idea that like, well, if you seek first the kingdom of God, meaning like go out and perform these acts of love and charity and mercy and compassion and empathy to help your fellow man, literally like volunteer to help people or donate to charity or just spread the gospel or do something with a missionary, right? Even those things are like, if you are just deciding to go do that on your own, you might as well just look at porn. You might as well just be on your phone all day. It's kind of like how I came to view things. Whether I'm right or wrong, I kind of feel like that was right. So I just kind of came into this place of like, well, I'll just wait. I guess I'm just waiting. And it's not good for me to even judge myself or even condemn myself. It's not good for me to try to bully myself into changing my behavior. It's not good for me to repress the desires of my own heart. And basically, if I ever want to overcome those desires, that's a free gift that comes from the grace of God. And so I'm just yeah, that's what I'm doing, I guess. So I would feel like that's at least my impression of the light side of the Force, right?